the Cinema Gold Show. Excuse me one second. I'm your host, Larry Elise. Today, we're continuing our classic rewind series with a hilarious comedy, Waiting, starring Ryan Reynolds. This is a film that I it hits close to home for me as a cook at a restaurant. First, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Poddex, for sponsoring this episode. Check them out today at poddex.com and use the promo code Larry21 for 10% off. Poddex are unique interview questions and episode starting prompts in the palm of your hand. So whether you're a new podcaster or existing broadcaster looking to grow your audience or get more engagement, you're going to want to check out poddex.com. Use code Larry21 for 10% off your first order. Now let's get into our review of Waiting. Office Space is a classic and Clerks is a cult favorite. But despite writer-director Robert McKittrick's best efforts, I doubt that Waiting will have quite the long afterlife those two films have had. Portraying the day in the life of the staff of a TGI Fridays-like restaurant called Shenanigans. Waiting censors on Dean, an underused Justin Long, stuck playing the straight man who has spent the 4 years since high school graduation waiting tables and sort of taking classes here and there at the local community college. Dean's day is off to a bad start. His mom told him that a former classmate of his has just begun a high-paying career, causing him to give pause over what he's doing with his life. Meanwhile, Dean's friend and coworker, life of the party Monty, played by Ryan Reynolds, is showing new employee Mitch, played by John Francis Daly, the ropes of working at Shenanigans, and introducing him to the suitably eccentric staff members. Among them are the head cook, Radimus, played by Luis Guzman, and his sex-pot bartender girlfriend, Danielle. The wannabe rapper stoner busboys, which are a little funny at times in this movie, played by Annie Melnakis and Max Cash, probably butchering their names. The dishwasher with constant words of wisdom, She McBride. The constantly cursing waitress who's been doing the job way too long. And the desperate to seem cool manager, David Koechner. There's not much more to the story of Waiting, which in McKittrick's defense is clearly not trying to be seen as high art. Dean, Monty, and their buddies go about their day, and we discover the dirty secrets that go on beyond the kitchen doors, where steaks dropped on the floor can still be served thanks to the 5-second rule, and where a particular annoying customer gets her comeuppance in the form of some extremely nasty extras added to the food she has to be recooked. Mitch also watches in horror as he's taught the rules of the game, a favorite diversion among the men, and Shenanigans, which is also a game that they brought over to the sequel, but the female version of the game. Hey! So, alright, I got my dog running around in here. Involves getting a coworker to unwittingly look at your penis and or testicles. Along the way, the boys get high, people have sex in bathroom stalls, and wackiness ensues. As a concept, Waiting is stretching. And Office Space managed to do a great job of mocking this sort of restaurant workplace scenario in just a few scenes with Jennifer Aniston's character. And the film often seems to be trying too hard to attain the sort of cult status that the film clearly influenced it have achieved. Also, as much as I believe comedy should have few boundaries, Waiting sometimes veers way too close to coming off as pretty homophobic. Which, yeah, for as early as this movie came out, I was kind of surprised at how far they took it, but also not, because it is such an old movie. even with a scene in which the waitresses call the guys on their behavior. The constant paranoia about men looking at each other's guys' genitals and constantly calling each other. Obviously, you know the word, starts with an F. Gets a bit old, and there's also, of course, the only actual gay character in the film is a really hot lesbian bartender. This is a movie aimed pretty squarely at the frat boy crowd. They'll probably be pretty happy with it. In the end, though, a movie like this lives or dies on the strength of how much it makes you laugh. In that regard, Waiting is about 60-40 on the successful versus unsuccessful joke scale. This is McKittrick's first film, and it shows with some amateurish done sequences that are clearly meant to be clever, but just sort of meander. However, when McKittrick's jokes do work, they work extremely well, and there are several extremely funny scenes in the film, though be warned that some of them are certainly gag-worthy for those who are sensitive to gross-out humor. The film does get a major boost thanks to Ryan Reynolds, who can do this sort of material in his sleep by now, and continues to have just the right touch when it comes to portraying ugly, endearing, sarcastic jerks. His delivery of the term slut magic alone was hysterical. There's also an odd lack of closure given to Anna Faris' character Serena, whose love-hate relationship with Monty goes nowhere. To their credit, the entire very talented cast, which includes stand-up comedian Dane Cook as a pierced and pissed off cook, does a commendable job of making Waiting an often a likable film, even in the lesser sequences. Everyone seems to know exactly what kind of movie they were making and to be having a fun time. Guzman especially is wonderful to watch. It is hard to define persona, as lovable, scummy guy fits in perfectly. Here, MTV star Melnakis is just so-so in a role we've seen way too many times now. We get it, it's funny when white kids act black. But this made up for when he and Kasich performed an extremely enjoyable rap written by Melnakis during the closing credits. Waiting is a silly, awkward, sometimes funny movie. And if you're in a silly, awkward, but sometimes funny mood, it's definitely worth a watch. If you've seen this movie, let us know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Did you like the movie? Did you think it was just a waste of time? And there was a sequel made. Have you seen the sequel? I saw parts of it. It was just, it's garbage compared to the first one. And we're actually going to show you probably my most favorite scene. I definitely have, I can feel for these cooks in this scene. So let's pull it up and I'll show you.
3 more minutes to the ball drop, baby. Come on! Woo! Woo!
Oh, hi there.
You're not closed yet, are you?
Not quite.
Oh, terrific.
Guys.
Yeah, that kind of makes me feel for them, as I currently work at a taco shop as a cook, so kind of really does get annoying when someone shows up 20 minutes before closing. You got everything clean, and then they put in an order. So now we're going to look and do the review of Dan Brown's The Lost Symbol premiere episode on Peacock. The premiere of The Lost Symbol, based on the third book in Dan Brown's best-selling Robert Langdon Symbologist series, is an earnest but half-cooked puzzler, featuring capable, amiable leads and a clunky clockwork plot that offers few surprises. After ABC's hit Lost went off the air in 2010, studios scrambled to find the next supernatural mystery box series. Given how many Lost clones we suffered in the wake of that show's conclusion, it's surprising it took this long to get a Dan Brown book adapted for the small screen. Of course, it might be because his books were big screen Tom Hanks projects for a full decade, but Langdon's adventures feel tailor-made for an episodic format. And that may very well be the case for The Lost Symbol, but the pilot episode doesn't exactly kick off this caper in crackerjack fashion. It's very much an average by the number scavenger hunt. Fear Street, Ashley Zuckerman plays Harvard University professor Robert Langdon, a boastful brainiac of all things, religious iconology and symbology. Zuckerman is pleasant and punchy in the role, giving us a detective who's awkward enough to be endearing and driven enough to be obnoxious. It's sort of the sweet spot for TV snoops, that balance between perceptive and pesky. You want this type of character to be out of their depth and in their element at the same time. In this way, Zuckerman is a solid, satisfying Langdon. The mystery Langdon gets embroiled in this time around involving the disappearance of his mentor, Peter Solomon. Is an instantly captivating corker, reminiscent of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. It's a loved one that prods Langdon in action, forcing him to uncover a rumored ancient portal that leads to unlimited knowledge and power. Keeping things more Washington, D.C. focused instead of some Brown's more globe-trotting tricks, The Lost Symbol is a dive in a Masonic mumbo-jumbo in which everyone will learn a valuable lesson about tinkering with the unknown and probing the past in this regard. The premiere episode was directed by 10 Cloverfield Lane's Dan Trachtenberg, featuring gruesome tableaus, hidden catacombs, booby traps, trademark Dan Brown secret society mercenaries, and of course, Langdon's signature luscious head of hair. This chapter moves well, fills in crucial character blanks via flashbacks, and spotlights Langdon as he quickly solves clues left behind by a villain named Malak. It's Junior League mystery stuff that more or less disguises its ordinary nature by having everyone become fast-talking wiki pages. Nothing in The Lost Symbol is meant to crack molds or rattle cages, but if you're looking to turn off your brain for a bit while a few smart characters spout off smart things, it's fun entry-level intrigue. So what's my verdict? The premiere is fundamentally fine, existing in a nice network TV style nest of palatable pop boilers that can bounce us easily from scene to scene. Clue to clue without offering up anything truly special. Robert Langdon is an acceptable everyman hero with twinges of academic arrogance and situational awkwardness, but the overall mystery feels derivative and dopey. Have you seen the premiere episode? Let us know in the comment section below. As always, you can also send us a tweet on Twitter at Cinema Gold Show. Find us on Instagram at the Cinema Gold Show. And now, we're going to do our pod deck segment. So the question is, what are some recognizable movie filming locations that you've been to in real life? That's tough. So I don't know the exact name of the locations, but Frozen Ground with Nicolas Cage was filmed in Alaska, which I'm from. And I've been to a few of those locations that they filmed at. Let's see, what other movies have I been to? The soda shop on That Thing You Do I went to a while back when I lived in California. Without wasting a lot of time, that's probably the two main ones that I can think of. Thanks for watching this episode of the Cinema Gold Show. If you want to support the show, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/cinemagoal, or you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/cinemagoal. And we'll see you next time. Take care.